My name is Michael Letwin. I'm a public defender in New York, and I'm former president of the Association of Legal Aid Attorneys, UAW 2325, also with Labor for Palestine and Labor for Standing Rock, and here we are at Standing Rock. I was also involved as a supporter of the American Indian movement in 1973 in support of the occupation at Wounded Knee, and I've been to Palestine and, of course, involved in the movement for Black Lives, and really an activist all my life, going back to the 1960s. And what we see here, I think, at Standing Rock is related to all of those struggles and to struggles for justice everywhere in the world. This is really an ongoing resistance to the dispossession of Native American people, the genocide against Native American people. And it parallels all the previous struggles for justice that have gone before it. In 1973 at Wounded Knee, there was a 71-day occupation. The independent Oglala Nation was declared, and it was to reclaim Indian land. Of course, all of this country is Indian land, just as all of what they call Israel is Palestine. And it's Wounded Knee then, the occupation was an incredibly inspiring stand against power, the power of the military. The Nixon administration, FBI, was besieging Wounded Knee. People were killed at Wounded Knee by the military and the FBI, and yet they stood for 71 days there under this tremendous pressure and showed the kind of resistance that indigenous people have always shown. And the same thing is true here today. This is drawing on that legacy that goes back to 1973 and a legacy that goes back well before that to 1890 at Wounded Knee when Lakota were massacred by the 7th Cavalry, back to 1876 when at the Greasy Grass the Lakota and its allies, the Cheyenne and others, defeated Custer and his genocidal machine. And it goes back to the entire history of indigenous people in this country. And it could be said of indigenous people everywhere and anywhere around the world that are resisting colonialism, resisting settler oppression and genocide. And so being here at Standing Rock echoes all of these things. It also echoes a history of labor that many people have forgotten, and that is that when unions were organized in this country going all the way back to the late 19th and middle 19th century, and ever since then, the military, the police have always been used to break strikes, to kill union organizers. The gun thugs that we see up here for DAPL, they've had those deployed against union people throughout the history of the labor movement, going back 150 years. So union organizers, union members, workers have always suffered the kind of oppression and injustice that people here are fighting too. From the same place, from the rich and the powerful, from the imperial expansion of this country, manifest destiny as it was called, that is generated by the same forces of greed and power and of capitalism. And so this kind of resistance here at Standing Rock has become a beacon for people around the world, including those of us who are here for Union Camp, union members who want to make clear that we are against the pipeline, and that we believe that the labor movement can only exist in a meaningful way if it's on the right side of the struggles for justice, not on the wrong side. Whether it's Standing Rock, whether it's movement for Black Lives, whether it's immigrant rights, whether it's the struggle for justice in Palestine, all of these movements represent the future of labor as well. And labor cannot be a movement for justice if it's not on the side of justice for all people.